Hello ladies and gentlemen and movie lovers of all kind, and welcome back to the channel. As always, I am your host Brett Murphy, and for today's video I have a brand new ranking for you all, and I am going to be ranking every single Conjuring Universe demon from worst to best. So the Conjuring Universe is arguably one of the biggest horror franchises of all time, and I'd say easily the biggest still going today. It started with just one movie that spanned into a trilogy with numerous spin-offs and plenty more on the way. And with that, they have gifted us many new iconic horror movie monsters, primarily in the form of demons, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. Before I hop into the actual ranking itself, I just wanted to let you all know that I have an entire playlist dedicated to all of my ranking videos. I think there's somewhere in the ballpark now of 100 videos in that playlist, movie-related ranking, so if that is your thing, I guarantee there's going to be something in there for you to enjoy with plenty more on the way. And so, without further ado, let's hop right into things. Number 11, the Warren Room Extras. Here's the thing about this entry, I probably could have given each one of these extras their own spot, but there's just not enough story there. So really all I would be doing is making a bunch of inferences as to the story behind these little trinkets and objects. The ones I am talking about though are the ones that we see featured more prominently in the room throughout the various Conjuring Universe movies. In particular though, Annabelle Comes Home, because we have a character in that movie that spends a good portion of the movie trapped and exploring that room. Objects like the piano, or the monkey with the accordion, the Meely board game, or the TV that shows possible near future events. All of them are creepy enough, and your mind just runs wild thinking about what the story behind these could be. But since we don't have full-fledged stories for them, and I'm not going to be surprised if we somehow get them in the future, so for right now I'm just going to group them all together and toss them in this last place spot. Number 10, the Samurai. This one also probably could have been thrown in the Warren Room Extras entry, but you know what? Every other list that I saw online that counted up these demons included the samurai as its own thing. And to be honest, this is the extra from that room that I'd want to see the story to the most. I think it could be really cool having a spin-off surrounding a samurai demon. Will we ever get it? Who knows? Only time will tell. Number 9, the Black Shuck. Yeah, you might be wondering what the Shuck I'm talking about here. Well, it's the Werewolf Demon from Annabelle Comes Home. This one only lands here by default because we only see it briefly in that movie. I am personally a huge fan of werewolves, and it's the only one that, moves outside of the extras, right? Like, the samurai gear might, turn its head at one point or something, and then all of the extras we kind of just see in passing, so because this one is actively involved in the movie and does terrorize that one character in particular, that poor guy that's stuck outside the house, I figured it should end up a little bit higher on the list than just the inanimate objects. But really, we don't get much from it, and I think it would be another one that could be kind of cool. Again, it's like the samurai demon, well, it's a werewolf, but also a demon, so it could be kind of cool that we could see it, not really be killed by traditional werewolf killing methods, or it can kind of just come in and out of the house without crashing through windows and all sorts of creepy stuff like that. Number 8, the Bride. Another one from Annabelle Comes Home, because that movie features by far the most demons out of any of them. Although very similar in nature to Lalayorna, this one just has none of the personality, but that doesn't mean that it's not creepy as hell. The few scenes that this demon pops up in the movie are some of the movie's most frightening in my opinion. The way it holds the knife, the way that it stalks, that one scene where it's kind of creeping outside and then comes through the window, I thought that was actually pretty terrifying and well executed. Though once again there isn't enough personality for this particular demon for me to justify putting it any higher on the list, it doesn't take away the creep factor whatsoever. Number 7, Bill Wilkins. So for the majority of The Conjuring 2, Bill Wilkins is essentially our main antagonist, terrorizing the poor children of this English household. However, I struggled with if I really wanted to include Bill Wilkins on this list at all, because as we find out in the third act of the movie, this is really just the soul of a poor old man who died in his home and is being used as a puppet by Valak, aka the nun, to terrorize the family. We hear him screaming in pain, begging to be let go, and he just really wants to rest in peace. The reason I still included him on this list is because some of that movie's most terrifying moments that genuinely scared the shit out of me include Bill Wilkins, like the My House jump scare with the TV, or when all the crosses start turning upside down and he dives out of the dark. All of that stuff was shocking and horrifying, so he still deserves a spot in my opinion. Number 6, Lalayorna. As per usual, whenever I say this character's name, I'm sure I'm likely pronouncing it incorrectly, but nevertheless, the show must go on. Once again, very similar to a previous entry being the bride, I believe this character is based on a Spanish urban legend. They brought her to life in this movie in truly, utterly horrifying fashion. The movie itself, no, it's not great. In fact, it's the Conjuring Universe movie that's the least connected to the rest of the universe. It really is kind of its own thing, and in my humble opinion, I found the movie to be very generic and predictable and not all that scary. But this character herself was very scary. By far the scariest thing about this movie. I would personally love to see her return in a sequel, but I hope if they ever do a sequel that it's a bit better executed than the original. Are you looking for the perfect gift for the movie lover in your life, or maybe you just want to treat yourself? Then look no further than the most unique piece of movie art you could possibly have with Movie Palette. Visit moviepalette.com right now and use code BAM15 at the checkout for 15% off your order. And now, back to the video. Number 5. The Ferryman. This one's up so high despite only being a side character in the third Annabelle movie. And that's because I find this particular demon to be the scariest and most unique and creative of the group that we have in this Annabelle movie. This movie's best moments stem from this character, with the coins in the eyes, always reflecting what little bit of light is in the scene. The story behind the character just begs to be told. So if we do end up getting any spin-offs at all from any of these Annabelle Comes Home demons, I really hope that it's the Ferryman. Number 4. The Crooked Man. On top of having an insanely catchy jingle, the Crooked Man has to be one of the scariest freaking things I've ever seen in my life. A nightmarish crossover between Slender Man and Jack Skellington, but also with a top hat and cane. I don't think that the animation was done all that well in The Conjuring 2, but this is truthfully one spin-off that was announced ages ago that I was actually kind of looking forward to. Because like I said, this guy, this demon, this thingamabob is just straight up nightmare fuel. Number 3. Bathsheba. This was a tough one for me to place because out of all of the demons I've just listed in the last 2 to come after this one, this is the most generic of the demons, because really it's just a dead witch. However, the way that the first Conjuring movie unfolds, in my opinion, it's one of the scariest movies ever made, and it feels the most real out of this entire universe. So that's why Bathsheba, despite being the least creative and the least imaginative in design, ends up so high on the list, because she feels so real. If hauntings or demons or any of this stuff exists, this is really what I picture it would be like this first movie, and in particular, something like Bathsheba. So for me, because I shudder every time I say the name, and this is what I picture when I think of these things potentially being real, yeah, she's definitely cracking the top 3. Number 2, Annabelle. These last 2 were incredibly tough to place. What really came down to is I was thinking in my head, which one is scarier and which one is more popular? And to be honest, I think they're both pretty much tied in both of those categories. The Nun has become synonymous with horror just as Annabelle has. My only gripe with Annabelle is that the doll itself is really just a doll, and there's various demons that control the doll as the movies go on. The design changes ever so slightly. I'm not even sure if in Annabelle Comes Home do we even see a demon. In Annabelle Creation, do we see a demon? I sometimes forget because it's really all focused on the doll herself, but the doll doesn't actually do anything. It's a conduit for a demon. So is it one demon? Is it various demons? Is it just a demon conduit bed and breakfast, then others just come and go? I'm not really sure. And that's why Annabelle ends up in the runner-up spot. Number 1, Valak the Nun. Like I just said, when making this list, it came down to Annabelle and the Nun for that number 1 spot. So I really had to actually sit down and think hard about which one I wanted to give the honor of the number 1 spot to, and at the end of the day, Valak the Nun is just by far the most terrifying, horrific, nightmarish creature, demon, monster to come out of this universe yet. Not only does she have some of the most iconic scares, like the painting scene from The Conjuring 2, but she can be creepy from afar too, just that end of the hallway staring at you. It's the eyes, it's the pale face, it's the dress up of being a nun. And then of course you also have her more demonic form where her mouth just opens wide and her eyes go yellow and jagged teeth come jetting out and everything. No, I don't think her solo movie is all that great, but the character is. And although it was close, I am confident in putting Valak the Nun in this number 1 spot. So that is all for today's video, folks. Be sure to let me know down in the comments if you agree or disagree with my ranking. While you're at it, be sure to let me know how you would rank every single one of these Conjuring Universe demons. If you enjoyed that video, be sure to hit that thumbs up button. And if you are a movie lover or fan of any kind whatsoever, then my channel is the place to be for you. Whether it's rankings, top 10s, versus videos, tier list videos, I have all of it and so much more. And now with well over 500 videos on the channel already and many more on the way. So if any of that piques your interest, be sure to smash that subscribe button right now. While you're at it, don't forget to ring that little bell icon, that way you can be notified about all of my latest uploads. And as always, stay safe, thank you so much for watching, and that's a wrap. Hey you, yeah you, if you made it this far, just know I appreciate you, and while you're here, consider hitting that subscribe button.